ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ अस्माकम् अद्यतनविषयः अस्ति समासप्रकरणम्. We are beginning the third big pillar of Rachananuvada Kaumudi. We had seen Sandhi and then we saw Pratyaya. There is still some Pratyayas left at the end of the book, but Sandhi, Pratyaya, Samasa. In this way, we can form three big pillars of this book, and in general, these are three big cornerstones, pillars of Vyakarana in the broader picture. So when we learn this way, it becomes a bit clearer, what the point of Sandhi is, what the point of Pratyaya is, and now what the point of Samasa is. So before we go to the first Abhyasa, so Abhyasa 46 is for Samasa, here starting from here till 46 to 51, there are 6 Abhyasas on Samasa. But I thought maybe before we begin this, given that today is Panchami, so Shashti and Saptami, we can do Avyayi Bhava Samasa, and then Navami, Dashami, we start with Tatpurusha, etc. So, given that there is an extra day before the Anadhyaya break, I thought it's also a good idea to sort of just introduce the topic of Samasa before we get into the types of Samasa and all that. So, now if there are questions from a broader perspective on what Samasa, etc. is, we can address those now and then go one by one. So the whole point of Samasa, when we say Sandhi is to join letters, right? Like when we say, for example, Visarga and Sakara, Visarga and Takara, A and E, Adgunaha, or A and A, Vridhirechi, whatever, these different rules for Sandhi in joining letters. Samasa, you can say, is for joining words. This is a good way to sort of begin this topic of Samasa. There are different types of Samasas, so we will get to that in a bit. But when you say Samasa, this main point is a good way to begin. There are 4 main Samasas. So when we say joining words, there are 4 main Samasas, meaning 4 main ways to join words. But there are some more. For example, in the contents page, Avyayi Bhava Samasa is 1. Tatpurusha Samasa 2. Then you skip this. Bahuvrihi Samasa 3. Dvandva Samasa 4. These 4 are considered the 4 main Samasas. After these, there are 2 more. Karmadharaya and Dvigu. Why have Karmadharaya and Dvigu been given between? Because Karmadharaya Samasa and Dvigu Samasa are types of Tatpurusha Samasa. So this Abhyasa, this Rachananuvada Kaumudi, they have given this between Tatpurusha and Bahuvrihi. But when we start understanding what Samasa is, etc., it is a better idea to first see these 4, and then we come to Karmadharaya and Dvigu, and then there are some extra also they have given, Nay Samasa, Aluk Samasa, etc. So this is also there. So in 6 Abhyasas, they are completing the Samasa Prakarana. We first start with Avyayi Bhava. So we can see with examples and definitions. So there are some definitive statements that we can make for each of these Samasas. For example, when you say Avyayi Bhava Samasa, okay, before Avyayi Bhava Tatpurusha, what happens in Samasas? Let's say 2 words, so joining 2 words, right? Let us say I want to join Ramasya and Putra. Let's say I want to join Ramasya and Putra. So instead of saying Ramasya Putra, which is also correct, because we have actually been seeing this Swakiya Vastu, we can say a Swa Vastu and all these examples, right? So Ramasya Putra, Rama is called the Purva Pada. So this Purva Pada, this terminology is critical because the definitions will follow these terminologies of each of these samasas. This Rama is called Purva Pada and Putra is Uttara Pada. The four samasas, the main samasas, they are based either on this Purva Pada or Uttara Pada or both or neither. These are the four. You either say, like how this little digression, but when we say Maya, right, we say it is neither Sat, nor Asat, nor Sadasat, nor neither, those things. Like that, four ways. One samasa is based primarily on Purva Pada. One samasa is based primarily on Uttara Pada. One samasa is based primarily on neither. And one samasa is based primarily on both. Avyai Bhava, Tatpurusha, Bahuvrihi and Dvandva can be divided into these four. Before we continue with examples, any questions?
So is it in the same order? Purva Pada pe based Avyai Bhav hai.
Yeah.
Uttara Pada.
Yes. Yeah. So we will see all of them. It is on this order only. Purva Pada Avyai Bhava, Uttara Pada Tatpurusha, Anya Pada Bahuvrihi, Ubhaya Pada Dvandva. We are going to see all four now, one by one. Any other questions?
And in those long sentences that we see of 25 words, there will be, I guess, between each word there could be another samasa. It does not
Absolutely. Yes. There could be. In fact, there could be one word with two samasas also. Even in Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sarasanga Tika etc., there are words where first there is Dvandva Samasa or Tatpurusha Samasa, and along with Tatpurusha there will be Bahuvrihi also. So there are examples, there are possibilities of that. Further, Sandhi Karya will also happen. Sandhi rules apply in Samasa. So when you say 25 word sentence and all that, 25 letter word etc., Sandhi Karya is also happening there.
Yeah, correct. All trials.
Sandhi Pratyaya Samasa, everything may be in one word also.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we go one by one. Any other questions before we go ahead? Okay.
So these are the four main, two more. Are there other samasas outside of these?
Nai, this one. So this next, the last Abhyasa there. Yeah. Nai Samasa is there. In fact, now this Dr. Sumanjay ji had chanted a sutra today before the session. There's Lyap. Samase Nai Purve. Nai Samasa is there. So we will come to all that in a bit. So there are some others. So 4 plus 2 plus others. That way we can see.
Adi Pada.
Adi Pada. 4 plus 2 plus Adi. Astu. So first, Abhyai Bhava Sama. Any other question before we see one by one? Okay. Prathama Avyai Bhava Samasa. So Avyai Bhava Samasa you say as Prayena Purva Pada Pradhanyam. So when there are two padas, right? When there is, don't take Ramaputra example, that was only an example, that example is over. Now we will take a different example because Ramaputra is not for Avyai Bhava, it's for Tatpurusha. Let us take Avyai Bhava Samasa. In Avyai Bhava Samasa, Purva Pada is Pradhanya. First Pada is Pradhanya. Like, examples are given. A simple example to understand first, and then we will see some mantra, shloka examples also. Upakrishnam, people say. Upakrishnam. Upakrishnam basically means near Krishna. Upa. Upasarga. Upanishad also. But in Upanishad, Upa we can take as Upasarga as well. Here there will be You can say Upanishad also, you can take as this kind of example. But Upakrishnam, here you say near Krishna.
The word, just the word Upa.
Upa correct.
Means near.
Yes. Yes, correct. Yes, absolutely. In Upanishad also, Upa means near in that way. Visharanagati avasadaneshu dhatu is there. So that Upakrishnam is an example of Avyayi Bhava Samasa. Or Pratibodha in Kenopanishad, Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. There that Pratibodha is Purvapada Pradhanya. The main point here is the Purvapada. Prati. Prati is important. So, Bodham, Pratibodham. In that way it will come. Or, there are other examples. Good examples are in the each Abhyasa they have given several examples for different types of samasas. Like, there is an example in Kathopanishad, that mantra comes, Yoni manye prapadyante sharirattvaya dehinaha. Anyone remembers the second half? Yoni manye prapadyante sharirattvaya dehinaha sthanu manye nu sanyanti yatha karma yatha shrutam. Yatha karma. Sundarji, please mute when not talking. There is background. So yatha karma, when you say yatha karma yatha shrutam, yatha karma is an example of Avyayi Bhava. Yatha karma will be karma anatikramya. That is, yatha karma means according to one's karma. Right? Karma anatikramya, not exceeding one's karma. This is the way you do samasa vigraha. So before sort of going ahead, we'll do recap. There is a Purvapada, there is a Uttarapada, and when you talk about both padas, it is called Ubhaya Pada. Ubhayoho, when we say both, Ubhaya Pada, and when it is neither, it is called Anya Pada, some other Pada. And this Purvapada and Uttarapada together, they are called Samasta Pada. So if I say Yatha Karma, there is Purvapada Yatha and Uttarapada Karma, and when we say together, it is Yatha Karma. This is called Samasta Pada together. And if I want to split it, like if I say Yatha Karma is really Karma Anatikramya, that is the meaning. This is called Samasa Vigraha. So for many times the question comes, how will you do this Samasa Vigraha? Like this Arthavada, how to do Samasa Vigraha? There is two different types of samasas will work only on the word, Arthapatti. Arthapatti, both different samasas will work on the word Arthapatti. So this Arthapatti Shabda is called Samastapada. And Artha is Purvapada. Apatti, Uttarapada. Arthapatti, Samastapada. And Arthasya Apatti, if I want to say, this is called Samasa Vigraha. These four terminologies, they will be very helpful when we do examples, practice samasas and all this stuff. Purvapada, Uttarapada, Samastapada, Vigraha. Another set of four.
What is Vigraha?
Separation. Vigraha effectively means you want to separate the samasa. Samastapada is together, and Vigraha is you see them separately. You sort of break up the samasa to get the meaning.
What Vicheda is in the context of Sandhi, Vigraha is for Samasa.
You can say that, yes. Yeah, that's maybe you can say that.
In Sandhi, it is just separation of words. In case
letters.
of Vigraha, we also...
In Sandhi, it is separation of letters.
Separation of letters. But in case of Samasa, we also add a few words and give it a meaningful
No,
sentence.
the adding few words is only for meaning. There may not be any addition necessary. Like Dvandva Samasa, there is no addition necessary. So the addition in the Vigraha is only to sort of break up the Samasa to give meaning. In Sandhi, there is no real meaning, Like you are just looking only at Vyakarana. When I say Rama Ishvara is Rameshwara, I don't need to look at the meaning of Rama and Ishvara to understand Rama plus Ishvara will become Rameshwara. But in Samasa, I do need the meaning. When I say Yatha Karma, I do need to understand it is Karma Anatikramya. Yatha Shruta, Shruta
Meaningful
Anatikramya.
Vichedya.
That Vigraha is for the addition of meaning. There is no necessity to add or delete something. As long as it is meaningful. This would be the another difference between Sandhi and Samasa. Okay. Before we go ahead with examples of others, any questions on Avyayi Bhava Samasa?
Today morning, Tarka, we saw that Sarvesham Pratikula.
Pratikula.
For Sukha. So Pratikula is another example here, I guess.
Yeah, you can say that. Anukula Pratikula, when we say that. Sarvesham Anukula Sukham, Sarvesham Pratikula Dukkham, right?
Dukkha, we saw that word.
So, Sumanjay ji, is that correct? I've forgotten the actual.
Did not get you. I mean, not here.
Sukha and Dukkha, the definition according to Tarka Sangrakara. The Mulakara, that is Granthakara. Sarvesham Anukulam.
Anukula, Sukha.
Yes. Yes.
Anukula, something else there. Okay, anyway, Anukula, Sukham and Pratikulam Dukkha.
Vedaniyam.
Vedaniyam. Sarvesham
Anukula
Anukulam.
Vedaniyatvam Dukham.
And
Sukham. Dukkha is for Sukham.
Pratikula Vedaniyatvam Dukkhatvam. Satyam. So that way also, that is an example. Yes. Bhaji.
I need Avyayi Bhava explanation one more time. Please say that's okay.
Okay. So Avyayi Bhava, you see the examples. When we say even something like Nirvigna, right? When you say Nirvigna, Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samavra, Nirvignam Kurumedeva. Here this Nirvigna, Avyayi Bhava talks about the Pradhana in the Purva Pada. So when I say Nirvigna, what is the Purva Pada?
Nir.
Nir.
Ni.
So this Nir is going to get Pradhanyam in Avyayi Bhava Samasa. Or when I say Pratibodha, Prati is Pradhanya. Or Yatha Karma, Yatha is Pradhanya. So now I want to see what does Yatha mean. When I say Yatha Karma, Yatha Shrutam in Kathopanishad Yamacharya says. When Yamacharya says, what does this Yatha mean? That is the point of Avyayi Bhava Samasa. Purva Pada Pradhanya. This Yatha is the main point of this Samasa. And when we say Yatha, this Yatha means Karma Anatikramya. So why I am talking about why this Yatha Karma is a very good example is that we don't need to get confused by the Upasarga that comes in Upakrishnam or this Nirvignam. In these Nirupasarga is there, Upa-Upasarga is there, Pratibodham, Prati-Upasarga is there. We don't want to. Let's take Yatha Karma. Yatha is not an Upasarga, but here Yatha Karma will be Karma Anatikramya in that. The Purva Pada will be Pradhanya. This is Avyayi Bhava.
Good question, because like we had Avyaya Shabda, now we have Avyayi Bhava. Because when we looked at our Shabda Sangya, the definition of Avyaya Shabda was different to when we are talking about Avyayi Bhava Samasa.
It is not that different. So generally in Avyayi Bhava Samasa, that Purva Pada mostly will be an Avyaya Shabda. That is why. So when you take all these Shabdas, right, Yatha and Prati and all that, they will all be examples of, in Ga they will give, in Rachananvada Kaumudi, in the beginning of the book, many of these Shabdas that come in the Ga, they may be possible in Avyayi Bhava Samasa. The main point...
It is because the Avyayi... Sorry. It's because the Avyaya Shabda is getting added and therefore the meaning is getting changed and therefore the Avyaya Shabda has the Pradhanya.
So instead of saying Avyaya Shabda, you can take Purva Pada. Because if you take Purva Pada, then the other samasas will make sense in the overall picture. So you just say Purva Pada has Pradhanya. Prayena Purva Pada Pradhanyam. This is Avyayi Bhava. The first Pada will get Pradhanya. So the first Pada's meaning you have to see. Then we come to Tatpurusha. Tatpurusha Prayana Uttarapada Pradhanya. So when you say Ramaputram, or you say, the example they generally give is Vriksha Shakha, they will give. So when we say Vriksha Shakha, what is mainly given by this Shabda Vriksha Shakha, what I really have to understand by this Shabda Vriksha Shakha is the branch, the Shakha. When we say Ramaputram or Ramaputra Putra Gacchati, in that way you want to say, or Ramaputram Pashya, if I say, am I supposed to look at Rama or Rama's Putra? I am supposed to look at the Putra. And Putra here is Uttarapada. Prayana Uttarapada Pradhanyam. This is Tatpurusha Samasa. This Purvapada can be different vibhaktis. Based on that, we will say it is Shashti Tatpurusha or Panchami Tatpurusha or Saptami Tatpurusha or whatever. Based on the Purvapadas Pratyaya. But the main point remains Uttarapada. So you take Vriksha Shakha example. Right? If I want to take Yatha Karma as example of Avyaya Bhava or Pratibodha, now that we are not getting confused between Avyaya and Upasarga, you can take Pratibodha example. Pratibodha, when I take as example for Avyaya Bhava, I can take Tatpurusha example as Vriksha Shakha. Vrikshasya Shakha. Iti Vriksha Shakha. Now what kind of Tatpurusha will be this Vrikshasya Shakha? Shashti Tatpurusha. Because Vrikshasya Shashti Ekavachanam. Based on the Purvapada, I can specify what type of Tatpurusha it is. The Vriksha Shakha is a good example.
So the Purvapada Vibhakti will matter.
Purvapada Vibhakti matters for detailed meaning, but it does not matter to understand what kind of samasa it is. The Uttarapada is Pradhanya. That is the main indicator of Tatpurusha. Like in Avyaya Bhava, the Purvapada is Pradhana. In Avyaya Bhava, the Purvapada is important. In Tatpurusha, the Uttarapada is important. Uttarapada Pradhana. This is the difference. Bahuvrihi.
So for
For
Tatpurusha, the names will always be related to Vibhakti. Shashti Tatpurusha, Saptami Tatpurusha.
No, not always. Not always.
Okay.
If you say Shashti Tatpurusha, then there is Shashti Vibhakti. If you say Panchami Tatpurusha, then there is Panchami Vibhakti. Not always. Why not always? Because these two exceptions are given, right? Karmadhara and Dvigu.
Yeah.
We'll come to that. But when you say
And these names
Tatpurusha,
are not based on Vibhakti.
Karmadhara and Dvigu, what? Karma.
Not based. Yeah. Okay.
Tatpurusha, you can say Shashti Tatpurusha, Panchami Tatpurusha to give that specific detail. Like recently, there was that Ajnana Nivritti, right? Ajnana Nivritti is there. Ajnanat Nivritti, you can say. Or Vriksha Shakha, you say Vrikshasya Shakha. So something can be Panchami Tatpurusha, something can be Shashti Tatpurusha, something can be Saptami Tatpurusha. That is the detail for the Tatpurusha. The main point is not this Vibhakti. The main point is that the Uttarapada is Pradhanya. When I say look at Vriksha Shakha, I don't need to look at Vriksha. I need to look at the Shakha, branch. That is the Pradhana. But in Avyaya Bhava, when I say Prati Yatha Karma or Pratibodham, I have to understand what this Prati means or what Yatha means. That is more Pradhana.
See, but when we say Vrikshasya Shakha, and you see the word, I'm just trying to get the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart, in the sense that, if I know I have to look at Shakha, then I know that it is Tatpurusha Samasa, because that we are looking at Uttarada. But when you see the word, how do you make out whether you should be looking at the Purva Shabda or the Uttara Shabda? That you have to just look at the context, I guess.
Of course. In Samasa, you have to know the context. Samasa requires sufficient. So, for example, when this Arthapati Shabda came, right? When Arthapati Shabda came in Vedanta Paribhasha a couple days ago, one Arthapati, one type of Samasa is to determine the Prama. One type of samasa is to determine the pramanam. You have to know the context, right? You have to know which is for prama and which is for pramanam, and then you say which samasa it is for.
Which samasa?
Context matters in samasa. Okay. So, avyay bhava, purvapada. Tatpurusha, uttarapada. Bahuvrihi. Any guesses what it would be?
So according to this, neither.
1%. I think I heard Dr. Sumanjay first. Hanji?
Neither of them. Yes. And Bandhava is both.
Correct.
Correct.
Satyam. Abhaji? Right. We'll come to that. Abhaji?
I had said the same thing.
Okay. And Sundarji?
Anyapada.
Anyapada. Anyapada. Neither is correct. Everyone is correct. Anyapada will be the correct terminology because we are saying Avyay Bhava is Purvapada and Tatpurusha Uttarapada. Bahuvrihi Anyapada. Something else is important. Like how we say, example given is Neelakantha. When I say Neelakantha, Sundarji mute please. When I say Neelakantha, I am neither talking about the blue or the throat. If in Neelakantha I was speaking of the Kantha, which samasa this would be? Tatpurusha. Because it is Uttarapada. But I am not talking about the throat, right? I am talking about Bhagavan Shiva. And I say Neelakantha means Shiva. There is an Anyapada here. Or Pitambara, if I say, is Krishna. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Pitambara. I don't need to think about Pita or Ambara. I want to talk about the person who is referred to as Pitambara or who is referred to as Neelakantha. There is an Anyapada here. So, of course, again here you see context matters. We cannot say Neelakantha is Avyay Bhava Samasa because the blue color is very important. Yes, of course it is important. We are not saying that, but it's not the most important thing. The point here that Neelakantha wants to make is Bhagavan Shiva. We are talking about Shiva as Neelakantha. So you say Anyapada Bahuvrihi Shiva. So when there is neither Neelo Kanto Yasya. So here when we do Vigraha of Bahuvrihi, because Vigraha of Avyay Bhava and Vigraha of Tatpurusha may be a bit easy. Vriksha Shaka, Vigraha is Vrikshasya Shaka. Samasta Pada is Vriksha Shaka. Purva Pada Vriksha. Uttara Pada Shaka. This is simple. Vriksha Shaka, Vrikshasya Shaka. That's all. Avyay Bhava also. Yatha Karma, Yatha Karma, Yatha Karma, and if I do Vigraha for Yatha, I will say Anatikramya. Yatha according to Anatikramya, not exceeding. So Yatha Karma, Karma Anatikramya. This is the Vigraha. Both are fairly okay. But in Bahuvrihi, you have the Anyapada. So we need to know both these padas. We need to know what Neela is, and we need to know what Kantha is, and we also need to know what the relationship with this Neelakantha is with the Anyapada. That is also necessary. So for some places, so firstly, Neelakantha, you have to know what Linga it is, whether it is Pullinga or Strilinga. If I say it is Pullinga, Neelaha, okay. You say Neelaha is Pullinga. And we can check all this. So for example, you can quickly go to Shabda Patha. When you want to do Bahuvrihi, Vigraha, you just say Neelaha, you say Akaranta Pullinga. So in Bahuvrihi Samasa, you say Neelaha. Whereas, if you were to take some Napumsakalinga word, then of course that will also be something else like Kamam or Kamo, that is also Pullinga. Some Napumsakalinga word or Srilinga word you can take. Vidya, Srilinga. Jnanam, Napumsakalinga. So this way also you can take some Shabda. But you have to know, like Jnana Yogi is there. Who is Jnana Yogi? Oh, I want to say Bhagavan Sri Krishna is Jnana Yogi. Then you have to do Bahuvrihi Samasa. Because Anyapada is there. I am referring to somebody else with these padas. So, point here is, when I say Neelakantha, I should know Neela is which linga. So, Neela says Pullinga. So in Vigraha you say first Nilaha. And Kantha Shabda comes throat. This one requires.
Ankarji, quick question. Just before searching for the word Neela, from the right side drop down, which
Shabda Patha.
category did you like?
Shabda.
Shabda Patha.
Kantha is not here, but you take as pullinga, right? Nilaha and Kantha, if we take this way. When I do the Vigraha of Neelakantha, I will say Nilaha Kantaha. Okay. But what is the relationship with Shiva? Shiva has Neelakantha. Possessive vibhakti is which vibhakti? If I say has, his.
6.
Shashti.
Possession.
So now I will say Yasya. Because Yasya is Shashti. Nilo Kantho Yasya. Neelakantha Yasya Shiva. This is the Vigraha of Bahuvrihi Samasa. So Vigraha of Avyayibhava, Vigraha of Tatpurusha and Vigraha of Bahuvrihi will all be different. They are all different because they all want to speak of different things. Purvapada Pradhana, Uttarapada Pradhana, Anyapada Pradhana.
So when we talked about that Panchami that you mentioned, so instead of Yasya, then for various Vigrahas like whatever Saptami, what would be the words that would be there then?
It will depend on the word, right? It will depend on Anyapada and the relationship with this. So you can say Yasmat. If you want to say Panchami.
If it's Panchami, it will become Yasmat.
Yasmat. And Saptami will be?
Yes. In me, so Yasmai.
Yasmin.
Yasmin.
And this is for Ekavachanam. Because here we are talking about one Shiva, right? What if I want to talk about different people and all those people I am going to give one Bahuvrihi Samasa? Then you say Yesham, if it is Shashti, the relationship is with possessive, you say Yesham, or if it is in, you will say Yeshu or something else. It will depend on the relationship with the Anyapada.
No, but because usually it ends with that Tasya and like Tasmat and all of that.
Yeah,
So
generally it is
that-
Ekavachanam, and generally, in fact, most of the time it will be Shashti, actually. Mostly, I think about, you can say maybe even 80% of the time. Of course, these are all subjective, but in our books, in what the books that we study, most of the Bahuvrihi Samasa Vigrahas generally may be Shashti Ekavachanam. But there is no universal rule. There can be even Tritiya for that matter.
Yeah.
Yaihi and all also can come.
So just the table of Esham and Yasya, Yasmin, that should be kind of a bit clear in our mind.
Yes, and with the meaning. And that meaning will be this relationship. Generally speaking, Bahuvrihi Samasa will be, not to put a spanner in the works, but the other three Samasas or other Samasas, we may be able to get before Bahuvrihi. Because in Bahuvrihi, there is one extra Karya. You have to look at the relationship with Anyapada. That does not exist in the others. Avyayibhava is only Purvapada. Tatpurusha is only Uttarapada. And Dvandva we will come to, that also does not have Anyapada. But Bahuvrihi has another Pada, which you have to see. And that relationship you have to find. So there is an extra Karya in that sense with Bahuvrihi. Any questions before we go to Dvandva?
Yes. So, as you use the word Neelakantha, certainly, so there are two ways in which, multiple ways in which you can think of it. One is Shiva. There is a bird also by that name. There is a mountain near Rishikesh by that name. So all of those are there. Now, when we say when we use these samasas, are they also linked with the idea of some lakshana happening? As in, when I say Neelakantha, literally, if I do Jahal Lakshana, it just means iska Neela Kant hai. And it could be any random person who has a blue neck and you can just paint it. But then we mean a particular person here. So is there some lakshana also happening with these samasas? Just asking.
The lakshana will be along with the. It is possible, not impossible. Lakshana is possible, of course, but again you have to see the context, right? Like for example, in Shiva, you can say lakshana of Shiva is Nilakantha. That is possible. You can say that, but you may not be able to say, like for example, Vriksha Shaka. When I say for Tatpurusha, Vriksha Shaka, Vrikshasya Shaka does not make it a Lakshana, right? There is no great Jahal Lakshana, Rajal. There is no necessity at all for those things. So you have to see the context. It is possible that a Lakshana may come out of a Bahuvrihi Samasa, but that is also not the primary objective of the Samasa. The primary objective is to understand, if it is Bahuvrihi, to understand the relationship of the Anyapada with the Uttara, Purva and Uttarapada. But absolutely Lakshana is possible. You have to see where. When we say Parvata, if I say Nilakantha is the name of the Parvata, so here also Parvata is Anyapada. Right? Whether it is Shiva, in Nilakantha, if I say Nilakantha, Nilasya Kantaha, the blue thing's throat, there you have to go and look at some Jahal Lakshana, Ajal Lakshana, because what is blue? That way. So this complication may come. Generally in Bahuvrihi Samasa, Lakshana in that way is not necessary. You can just take it as relationship with Anyapada. Any other question? Okay. Dvandva. Dvandva is very simple. Let's say there are two people, Rama and Krishna. If I want to say for both of them I want to talk about, I will say Rama Krishnau. Dvitiya vibhakti. Dvitiya eka. Prathama dvivachanam. Rama Krishnau. Ramaha, Ramau is there. In that way, Rama Krishnau. Why Krishnau? Rama Krishnau? Because Rama and Krishna are pullinga. If you want to talk about two Napumsakalinga, then you have to use the Dvivachanam of Napumsakalinga or Strilinga. That also you have to check for Dvandva Samasa. Dvandva Samasa, so when you say Avyayi Bhava, Purva Pada Pradhanya, Tatpurusha, Uttara Pada Pradhanya, Bahuvrihi, Anya Pada Pradhanya, Dvandva, Ubhaya Pada Pradhanya. In Dvandva Samasa, both are necessary, both are important. Importance is on both. Pradhana is for Ubhaya, both of them, Rama and Krishna. In this way, you can briefly understand the four major samasas, right? Even a little table, actually at some point we can make that table like how we have been making for Sandhi and Pratyaya, etc. You can just make name of samasa, definition of samasa, example and vigraha. This could be a good table. At some point, if anybody wants to take it up, this is very useful. If everyone wants to take it up, actually, and we can all do some practice and see what we understand out of this. Avyayi Bhava Samasa, Purvapada Pradhanya, Prayana Purvapada Pradhanyam, Pratibodha, Bodham Bodham Pratibodham. This is the four categories. Or Tatpurusha, if I want to say, Tatpurusha, Uttarapada Pradhanya, Vriksha Shaka, Vrikshasya Shaka. This much, if we can make, this would be very helpful. Bahuvrihi, Nilakantha, Nilakantha, Prayana, Anyapada Pradhanya, Nilakanto, Yasya, so Nilakantha. Dvandva, Prayana, Ubhayapada Pradhanya, Rama Krishnau, Rama Krishnau, Krishnau, Rama, Ramascha Krishnascha, Rama Krishnau. In that way, that will be the Vigraha. So all four Vigrahas, in this way we can. Okay, coming to the two extra of Tatpurusha. So in the middle, yes.
Question on the Dvandva Samasa. So both just Rama Krishna, दोनों भी पुल्लिंग शब्द थे. So like this, they always have to be of the same gender?
No, so it is possible that they will be of different lingas also. you have to take, there are specific rules. So we will see those specific rules when we come to Abhyasa 50. But some places you have to take the second pada and so on. That rules will come. But it is not necessary that they have to be in the same lingam. In fact, you can check the Abhyasa 50 briefly. They may have given different shabdas. They have given Rama Krishna, Sita Ramau, you see. Sita cha Ramascha, Sita Ramau. Why should I not say Sita Rame? Because Rama Rame Ramaha, right? Sita, Site Sitaha, in that way this will become. So why should I not say Sita Rame? Because the second one they will take generally. Sita Ramau. In that.
So it can be Rama Sita.
Rama Sita. You can take.
Right? Like
Yeah,
that.
you can take. So you should not be saying Rama Sitau. This is the mukhya.
Rama Sita. Yeah, Rama Sita.
But Rama Sita you can say, but in Prayoga we have the female first, right? Strilinga comes prathama, and then when there are two lingas like that. But it is not like a hard and fast rule that it must be that way. Prayoga is like Uma and Shankara they have given here. Uma and Shankara. They say Uma Shankarau. They will not say Shankar Ome.
Ladies first. Yeah, that's fine.
Bhavani Shankarau.
Bhavani Shankarau. Not Shankara Bhavani or etc. Bhavani in that way. It is not wrong. It is just awkward. That the second will get the linga. According to the linga of second, you will fall the.
But if one of them is a Napunsakalinga, then it is possible. I mean, you may not have that to say, I will take one or the other, or which one goes first.
Like for example, they have given an example here also in the so all these examples are going to come, but there is one example of Napumsaka, Hasta and Pada. You see, Hasta Pada both are Napumsakalinga, so they just say or Padaha you can take. Okay. Shita Ushna, Shita Ushnam, that way they have taken. Hastapadam. So there will be examples. We will have sufficient examples for now, and we can follow the book, and it will be a good practice for us to see one by one. For now, this much is mukhya. Purva pada pradhana, uttara pada pradhana, anya pada pradhana, ubhaya pada pradhana. This much we remember. So to complete this introduction, Karmadharaya and Dvigu. Karmadharaya and Dvigu are types of Tatpurusha Samasa. Both are types of Satpurusha. The difference between Tatpurusha, that is when you say Shashti Tatpurusha or Panchami Tatpurusha or Karmadharaya or Dvigu, in Karmadharaya, the first word, like for example, the definition they give is Neela, Neelotpala, when we say. I'm just seeing if there is a definition. Please give me 1 minute. You can check in this book. Okay, blue lotus, that is a common one, Neela Kamala or Neela Utpala. The second pada is taken, but the first pada is a descriptor. Karmadharaya is like a descriptive samasa. Karmadharaya is type of Tatpurusha, but it is more of a description. Like Neelotpala, blue lotus, right? Neelotpala. But there is another word. Anyway, okay, we will just take Neelotpala. So blue lotus is there, but if I want to say red lotus, then I will say Raktotpala. But here I am talking about the lotus only. But I am talking about what kind of lotus it is. The description of that lotus. And I say it is Neela color, blue color. So I say Nilotpala. Here, the difference between here and Neelakantha. Neelakantha, while I say throat is blue, yes, of course. Neelakantha, the throat that is blue. But that is not the meaning I want to give here, right? I want to say Neelakantha is Shiva. When we say Nilotpala, we don't want to say anything. We don't want to say Nilotpala is a heavenly fruit or something. Nilotpala, that's all. You're talking about the lotus that is blue. Describing the lotus. Describing the Uttarapada. So Purvapada will describe Uttarapada in Karmadharaya. That is an easier way to explain this.
See, if you take a word like Trilochan.
No, that is Dvigu. That is next. Three.
I thought, but it can be Shiva, so it can be like a Tatpurusha. Trilochan can be Shiva.
But yes, it is Tatpurusha only. But what type of Tatpurusha? So here, okay, since you brought it up, Sundarji, we can finish this and then go on. Here, Karmadharaya is a descriptor, right? In Dvigu Samasa, the Purvapada will be a number. Like the example you just gave. Or if you say Tribhuvanam, all three lokas, it is Tatpurusha only. I am talking about Uttarapada. Uttarapada Pradhanya is there. In Nilotpala or Tribhuvana, we are talking about the lotus, we are talking about the worlds. Uttarapada is Pradhanya. But what is the Purvapada? If the Purvapada is another Shabda and you can make it into a Vibhakti, this is the common Tatpurusha. If the Purvapada is a more of a descriptor, then it is Karmadharaya. If the Purvapada is a number, it is Dvigu. So Tribhuvanam is Dvigu.
Yes.
So this is the reason why Tatpurusha ke baad they have given Karmadharaya and Dvigu immediately after, before Bahuvrihi begins. But when we learn, we generally learn this way because the definitions will make more sense when you say Purvapada Pradhanya, Uttarapada Pradhanya, Anyapada Pradhanya and Ubhayapada Pradhanya. And then you go to Tatpurusha and you say, wait, there is another type of Tatpurusha. What is that? Karmadharaya, where Purvapada is descriptor. Or Dvigu, where Purvapada is a number. But since they are Tatpurusha, Uttarapada will be Pradhanya. So when you say Nilotpala, Utpala is the Pradhanya. Tribhuvanam, Bhuvanam is the Pradhanya. But what kind of Bhuvanam? What kind of lotus? There Karmadharaya and Dvigu will come into play. Nilotpala, you don't say Nilasya Utpala. It doesn't mean anything. If you can say Vrikshasya Shaka, there it is Shashti Tatpurusha. Nilasya Utpala does not mean anything. It is not Shashti Tatpurusha. This will be Karmadharaya. What is the question?
Karmadharaya is still not very clear to me. As in, how do we do that? I mean, what would be the bottom line to differentiate?
Description is the bottom line. Description, and it is not subject to a Shabda and a Rupa where you can say this is this kind of Vibhakti, that kind of Vibhakti, etc. If you can give a Vibhakti, then it will just be whatever type of Vibhakti in Tatpurusha, Shashti Tatpurusha. But in Nilotpala, you don't give a Vibhakti, right? You cannot say Nilasya Utpala or something. Neela is the Utpala. Utpala is Neela. Neela is for the Utpala. It is a description of the Utpala. So you say Karmadharaya.
That is Prathama, no? I mean, we can say that is why the confusion. Neela, Utpalam.
Yeah, Prathama Tatpurusha. That is why they say Karmadharaya is a type of Tatpurusha. You are still going to talk about Uttarapada only. But it is not Shashti Tatpurusha or Panchami Tatpurusha, which are more common. Hence, Karmadharaya is a type of Tatpurusha. And Dvigu also, for that matter. Tribhuvanam, when we say, we can say 3, you can say Prathama, absolutely, but it is a number, so you say Dvigu. And they are Tatpurusha only. Prathama, yes, and what does it describe? Uttarapada, okay, so should it not be Tatpurusha? Yes, it is Tatpurusha. but it is not the Panchami Shashti kind of Tatpurusha. Description or a number will make Karmadharaya or Kriya.
Nice.
Any questions before we end? And then there is Naya Samasa, we come to it later. Naya Samasa, you just say na bhavati, Ajnana will be Naya Samasa, na jnanam, ajnanam, all those things will come later. So there are some miscellaneous, you can say. Mainly when you think of Samasa, you think of 4 types. And then you say, okay, wait, there are 2 more with Tatpurusha. And then you say, wait, there are some miscellaneous. So this is the overall picture. Over the next 2 weeks, we will be going into each of them in depth. Okay. Any questions before we close?
जी. So अव्ययी भाव में we said निर्विग्रह. Yeah. तो उसमें भी
निर्विघ्नः.
निर्विघ्न. And then न्याय समास में हमने नकार किया. So there seems to be some overlap. Hopefully it will get clearer when we do the lessons.
Yeah, see, no, Nirvighna is an example of the Purva Pada. Nir Upasarga, Nir can be something else also, like Yatha Karma or like Pratibodha. In Naya Samasa, Akara will come. Or we are going to see examples. So in the examples it will become clear. You are correct in that. Because they are going to give, I was seeing they have given a lot of examples of Akara Shabdas. See, for example, we will see examples quickly. This is 122. So you see Naya Samasa examples they are giving. Here. न ब्राह्मण अब्राह्मण. इसी प्रकार अस्वस्थ, अन्याय, अप्रिय, असुंदर, अनुपस्थितिः, अनुचितः, अनागतः, अनुदरः, अनीश्वरवादी. You see the similarities in all these shabdas. नए में अ रहेगा. Like अज्ञान, अविद्या. You can add those also here. न विद्या इति अविद्या. Vidya is not there. Or na brahmana abrahmana. That is more simple. Na sundara asundaraha. Na priyaha apriyaha. Whatever. Nirvighna is not Naya Samasa. Naya Samasa requires akara.
नकार करने के लिए अक्षर लगेगा.
Go ahead.
Sumanjay ji.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean all. So, na vidya is equal to avidya. Now, isn't it a little bit virodhi with the fact that avidya is bhava rupa for us?
Yeah. So, yes, absolutely. You cannot take it when we mix Vedanta and Vyakarana. Sometimes we have to see the meaning of it. So, the better example for Naya Samasa we can take now as asundara or apriya. That is a better example. I wanted to link, maybe it was not the best idea to link it in this case. Na asti iti in that way this will become. Na brahmana asti iti abrahmana. Na vidya asti iti avidya, you can say, but then when we mix with other darshana, of course the meaning will differ. Sundarji?
It's fine.
Abhaji?
I think it's okay. We'll wait for the examples.
Okay. So tomorrow and day after we will do Avyayi Bhava, Ashtami Anadhyaya, and then from Navami Tatpurusha. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam. Sutrabhashya Kratau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. ओम शांतिः शांतिः शांतिः. ओम.